ladies and gentlemen, is one of the things that replenishes and depletes the faith of believers. And I don't care who you are, no matter what place you are in with God, doubt is something that everybody has to master. You can't get rid of it. Yeah, you can't get rid of doubt, because doubt will always be a presence circling around you. And when you begin to move in the things of God, when you begin to do the things and things can be going well, and doubt will set in and short circuit what God is doing in your life. When you don't see God immediate hand on things, you have the moment and the place and the time to believe him by faith. But faith is difficult, because faith challenges you to step out with nothing to step on. So, ladies and gentlemen, brings me to our text, ladies and gentlemen. In the time of crisis, God help me here. In the time of crisis, the text tells us we have to remember that the steps of a good man. Ladies and gentlemen, what qualifies a man to be a good man, or qualifies a man to be a good man, is a man that reverences God. What qualifies a man to be a good man is a man that honors God. What qualifies a man to be a good man, ladies and gentlemen, it is a man that honors and reverences God. Does not mean all the time that this man is going to be right, but he reverences God. And how you can find a good man is not by what he drives, not by what he has in a bank account, not how good he treats you, not about the warm and fuzzy feelings he gives you when he's around, but how he reverences God determines whether he's a good man or not. And the Bible declares us, ladies and gentlemen, the Bible declares us that the steps of a good man, watch this, can be confusing. A lot of times, ladies and gentlemen, the reason that I tell you that it's confusing, because if not all of us have come to the point that we worship and praise God, but we don't understand everything he does. Y'all not talking back to me. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of us have reverence and praise God, and we don't understand everything that he does, but we have to remind ourselves that even though it's bad, my steps are ordered by the Lord. Ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the conclusion that every time that something bad happens in your life, it does not mean that God has forsaken you. Every time that something bad happens in your life, it does not mean that God has his hand off of you. Every time that something bad happens, ladies and gentlemen, it does not mean that God has left you to die. Every time that something bad happens in your life, it does not mean that you've done something so bad that God don't even want you no more. But you got to remember that the steps of a good man is ordered by the Lord. So that means, ladies and gentlemen, there are things that God will orchestrate and ordain you to go through. I don't care what level of faith that you are on. There are certain things that God will allow you to go through, because I am performing and perfecting things in your life. So sometimes I gotta take you out of the comfortable. I gotta take you out of the familiar. I gotta sabotage your plan to let you know that your steps are ordered by me. So sometimes God will schedule a valley instead of a mountain. Let me preach like I feel it. Sometimes God will schedule a valley instead of a mountain. What are you talking about? That means, ladies and gentlemen, some people can only praise God when they see themselves going up. Some people can only praise God when stuff look good. But how many people know it here that sometimes God will schedule a valley to remind you that I'm walking with you? Yeah. Lean over and tell somebody, sometime God will schedule a valley. Yeah. Sometime God will schedule a valley. There's a lot of us here always fall apart. I'm trying to talk to the people that always fall apart. Every time you get bad news, sometimes even with the bad news in your hand, you got to lift up your head and say, I will lift my eyes up to the hills, from which cometh my help. My help comes from the Lord. Sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, just because you look into the hills does not mean you don't see the clouds. Y'all not talking. Sometimes you got to look to the hills even when the clouds are present. Sometimes you got to look to the hills when everything got you depressed and down. Sometimes you got to look to the hills when you don't even see your way out. Lean over and tell somebody, sometime God will schedule it.